How are you?
እንደምን እንደምን ነህ ነህ እንደምን ነህ እንደምን ነህ እንደምን ነህ
or
እንዴት ነህ ነህ እንዴት ነህ እንዴት ነህ እንዴት ነህ እንደምን ነሽ ነሽ እንደምን ነሽ እንደምን ነሽ እንደምን ነሽ
or
እንዴት ነሽ ነሽ እንዴት ነሽ እንዴት ነሽ እንዴት ነሽ እንደምን ነዎት እንደምን ነዎት እንደምን ነዎት እንደምን ነዎት
or
እንዴት ነዎት ነዎት እንዴት ነዎት እንዴት ነዎት እንዴት ነዎት እንደምን ናችሁ እንደምን ናችሁ እንደምን ናችሁ እንደምን ናችሁ
or
እንዴት ናችሁ እንዴት ናችሁ እንዴት ናችሁ እንዴት ናችሁ
There are other ways of saying,
How are you?
in Amharic. Let's now use these four verb forms.
አለህ እንደምን አለህ እንደምን አለህ እንደምን አለህ አለሽ እንደምን አለሽ እንደምን አለሽ እንደምን አለሽ አሉ እንደምን አሉ እንደምን አሉ እንደምን አሉ አላችሁ እንደምን አላችሁ እንደምን አላችሁ እንደምን አላችሁ
You can also combine these four verb forms with the two words to ask.
How are you?
These words are
ደህና
And
ወይ
if you decide to use these, say,
ደህና ነህ ወይ ደህና ነህ ወይ ደህና ነሽ ወይ ደህና ነሽ ወይ ደህና ነዎት ወይ ደህና ነዎት ወይ ደህና ናችሁ ወይ ደህና ናችሁ ወይ
these questions literally mean,
Are you fine?
but are commonly understood as standard greetings, rather than inquiries about someone's well-being in a concerning sense.
For those of you who stuck around until now, thank you. I will give you 3 important pieces of information that will help you understand the "How are you?" greeting in Amharic language. First, I will inform you about the necessary verb form changes. Next, I will explain about the personal pronoun, you. Finally, I will provide you with a couple of response examples. Let's start with the verb form changes. There are quite a few different ways of saying, "How are you?" in Amharic. In English, the verb form we use to say the "How are you?" greeting is
Are.
in all cases, but in Amharic we do not have a single verb form for this greeting. The verb form depends on whether your greeting is formal or informal, whether you're addressing an individual or a group, and whether the person is male or female.
መሆን
Is the infinitive form of the verb, To be. If you decide to use the verb
مهون
To informally greet a male, change the verb.
مهون
to.
نه نه
To informally greet a female, use the verb.
نش نش
To formally greet either a male or a female, use the verb.
نوت نوت
To greet a group of two or more people, the appropriate verb form is.
ناتشو ناتشو
Alternatively, you can use these verb forms.
To informally greet a male,
Use the verb.
علّه علّه
To informally greet a female,
Use the verb.
علّش علّش
to formally greet either a male or a female.
Use the verb.
علّو علّو
To greet a group of two or more people, the appropriate verb form is.
علّاتشو علّاتشو
Number 2, implied.
You.
There are 4 forms of the personal pronoun.
You.
In Amharic,
When informally addressing a male, use.
أنت أنت
When informally addressing a female, use.
أنتي أنتي
When formally addressing either a male or a female, use.
ارسو ارسو
When addressing a group of two or more people, regardless of gender, use.
إنانت إنانت
Now, let's combine these pronouns with the corresponding verb forms in Amharic.
To say, you are, in Amharic in different contexts, say.
أنت نه أنتي نش ارسو نوت إنانت ناتشو.
But wait, you may have noticed that in the Amharic greeting for, how are you? We didn't include the personal pronoun.
You.
In other words, we didn't use any of the 4 forms of the pronoun,
You.
namely,
أنت أنتي ارسو
Or.
إنانت.
that's because the verb form itself already indicates who is being addressed, making the pronoun implied and unnecessary. For example, the verb
نه
is used only when informally addressing a male, so adding the pronoun
أنت
would be redundant. However, you can include one of the 4 forms of
You.
in the greeting for emphasis or when replying with a similar greeting. Let's move on to the last part, example responses.
Example 1.
ታዲያስ እንደምነሽ ታዲያስ እንደምነሽ ታዲያስ እንደምነሽ ይመስገን ደህና ነኝ አንቺ እንደምነሽ ይመስገን ደህና ነኝ አንቺ እንደምነሽ ይመስገን ደህና ነኝ አንቺ እንደምነሽ.
In this example, notice that in the first greeting, the personal pronoun
አንቺ
is implied from the verb form,
ነሽ
which is used only when informally greeting a female. Also take note that in contrast, the personal pronoun
አንቺ
is stated explicitly in the response to the greeting.
Example 2.
ጤና ይስጥልኝ እንደምንኖት ጤና ይስጥልኝ እንደምንኖት ጤና ይስጥልኝ እንደምንኖት
ደህና እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን
ደህና እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን ደህና እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን.
In this example, notice that the personal pronoun
እርስዎ
is not expressly stated in the first greeting but is implied from the verb form,
ነዎት
which is used only when formally greeting a male or a female.
A formal greeting is to a person much older than yourself or holding a position of authority. An informal greeting is to family members, close relatives, friends, and peers.